Janet had been a respected accountant at a large Midwest accounting firm for 21 years before deciding to retire. Janet, a single mom, felt that she needed to spend more time with her children. 5 years ago, she came out of retirement to work as the bookkeeper for a struggling mom-and-pop plumbing supply company that was located in a nearby strip mall. Janet, now an empty nester, needed a new challenge. Today, the company's corporate office is located in a downtown office building, and its huge plumbing supply warehouse is located in a suburban industrial park. Janet used her accounting expertise and business contacts to grow the company into a regional supplier of residential, commercial, and industrial plumbing supplies with over $35 million in annual revenue. The company went from employing less than a dozen workers to employing over 120 workers. At the company's annual banquet, Janet is always recognized for her contributions to the company and its staff. However, 6 months ago, the company hired a new accounting manager named Bill. Bill became Janet's boss. Bill is the nephew of one of the company's owners. As a recent college graduate, Bill had no experience in accounting or the plumbing supply business. Janet had applied for the accounting manager's position, but she was not selected despite her impressive qualifications and outstanding record with the company. Bill began to ask Janet, "When are you going to retire?" He would say to Janet, "Women do not belong in the plumbing industry, and plumbing is a man's job." Bill excluded Janet from important business meetings that she normally attended. Janet mentioned Bill's behavior to human resources. Janet knew that HR's real role is to serve and protect management. HR would report back to Bill. Janet began to quietly document Bill's behavior in a journal. Bill approached Janet. Bill shouted, "You're fired." A building security officer proceeded to escort Janet out of the building. The office staff was concerned about Janet and reached out to her by telephone to offer their love and support. Janet met with her former colleagues for lunch. The staff believed if Janet could be treated that way, then anyone could be fired and escorted out of the building without notice. 3 women filed sex discrimination complaints against the company with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Janet's former colleagues encouraged her to also file a discrimination complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Janet immediately filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission on the basis of sex and age discrimination, as well as retaliation. Janet was interviewed by an investigator who was familiar with the recent discrimination complaints against the company. Janet told the investigator about everything that had happened to her in the past 5 months, from being passed over for the accounting manager's position to being escorted from the building by security. Janet also provided the investigator with a copy of her journal. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission sent a copy of Janet's charge of discrimination to the company. In response, the company's lawyers prepared a position statement that said Janet was terminated because she committed the crime of fraud. The company also provided documents that proved there were fraudulent entries in the company's books. The matter is currently under investigation by law enforcement. Janet noticed that the fraudulent entries were a result of alterations that occurred after she had submitted the company's books to Bill. In response to the company's accusation of fraud, Janet prepared a detailed written rebuttal that pointed to Bill as the guilty party. Janet's rebuttal included copies of the company's books prior to alterations made by Bill. One evening, Janet heard a knock at the door of her home. She opened the door and saw 2 police officers standing in front of her. Janet's heart began to pound violently. She could not catch her breath, and her body began to tremble. She knew the police officers were there to arrest her and take her to jail. Then, one of the officers asked her about Bill. After a minute or 2, the officers left. The next day, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission informed Janet that the company wanted to settle her discrimination claim. The company offered to rehire Janet with back pay and promote her to the newly created position of Director of Finance and Accounting, which included an office in the C-suite and a significantly higher salary. Janet accepted the company's offer. Janet learned that Bill had manipulated the company's books by creating fraudulent plumbing supply refunds and then pocketing over $180,000 in less than 6 months. Bill was fired, arrested, and criminally charged with embezzlement.